The mission of the National Park Service, as Congress defined it, was basically twofold: to preserve the scenery and the natural and historic objects and the wildlife, and to do that in such a way that is preserved for the enjoyment of future generations. So that balancing act is always very difficult. And in our case, where people walk all the time, obviously in many cases we will protect historic fabric where we have to by putting something that it's okay if it erodes or wears away through human interaction. And we will educate people, and we'll talk about the fragile nature of this stone and how that it's over 200 years old, over 300 years old in most cases, and how important that is to preserve, because people don't just go down to the hardware store and buy coquina. It's a natural product that comes out of the ground. It takes millions of years to form. And they get a little different perspective, because that gets us into a conversation about how long it took to build the fort, and how they had no power saws, they had no cranes, they had no bulldozers, they had shovels, and they had animals, and they had strong backs. So it gives people an opportunity to appreciate how long it takes to build something like this and how unique this stone is. And then we talk about the people who built it, and they were people like us, just in a different time. And so people in many cases will step back and think about how really special this is. And some people, until they visit a historic site, have no reason to really think much about life without automobiles and airplanes, and how different it must have been. And so there are all different ways that you can engage people to have them understand how unique. And then we can talk about what the National Park System does, and that is preserve nationally significant sites that are very special to a lot of people. And in our case, the Latino community, this represents something that's very important. And when you tell people that the Spanish came here in 1565, and except for a few years around the American Revolution, they were here for 235 years. And if you take 235 and add it to 1821, which is when this became a United States territory, you get 2056, and that's when we will have been here as long as the Spanish were. And then they'll stop and thinking, wow, why didn't I learn about this in school? So then you get into a whole discussion as well. After the American Revolution, the Spanish really didn't stay around long, and they weren't as powerful as they were. And if the war had gone differently, or if the struggles between the English and the Spanish had gone differently, we would all be speaking Spanish now. And so it just gives people a lot of opportunity to think about how special it is and what it really means. And then how do you physically preserve this, and how important that is, because we want this message to still be around here in another 300 years.